First, just a brief introduction about the course for those who are joining from today. See, the class is basically for this economics optional as well as for economic service and RBI grade B DPRs. So the common part basically we are discussing, and the extra part which is specifically mentioned in the RBI DPR or specifically mentioned in the economic service. In fact, there are many. So we will be having separate lecture from next week only for those topics which are extra for the Indian economic service. Right now we are doing basically the common topic which is common for all three examination. In terms of the number of lecture, it will be requiring about 275 to 300 number of lecture for the economic service, same number of lecture for the RBI DPR, but about 150 to 160 lecture for economics optional. So that 150 to 160 lecture is basically common. So about 125 lecture extra we have to cover for economic service as well as for the RBI DPR. DPR में phase 1 का objective question होगा, so we will have about 30-40 lecture separate for phase 1, but RBI DPR will be missing the general studies section. तो in fact वो 25-30 lecture यहाँ minus हो जाता है और यहाँ add हो जाता है. So in terms of total number of lecture it will remain same. Then in terms of the content, what you are getting is basically in terms of the lecture support, that 275 to 300 lecture or 150 to 160 depending upon the course. Then second important part is this daily answer writing practice, including the test series. See, for daily answer writing practice, which is called markup course, for optional it will be 60 days, and for economic service it will be 100 days. So we will add 40 days extra, and that will make the course for Indian economic service. So 60 days you will have a proper schedule of what for economic service. It will start from 25th of August. You will have this type of schedule for day 1, day 2, day 3. So every day you will be getting 5 question with detailed model answer and their discussion. So for economic service it will be starting from 25th of August. Our optional के लिए the new one will be starting from 22nd of September next month. This will basically help you in learning the notes. जो notes आप class में लिखेंगे, you have to learn it also. You can learn it only by writing it, and writing it on a regular basis. So this will help in learning the notes plus developing the answer writing skill, how to write an answer, how to present an answer, and further it will improve the test performance also. So test is already in test will always be included in between the daily answer writing. So it is not that you have to complete 100% daily answer then attempt the test. Test will come in between. So like you have completed micro and macro, then there will be test number 1 and 2 for micro and macro, that will be the sectional test. So in that way this daily answer writing and test will be included. Now third thing that you get is the study material, which is compilation of different sources. So all sources are defined, that means which topic you have to cover from which book and which chapter. A list of it is there. Like for example micro market structure, you have to cover from Kotsianis chapter number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 13. So Xerox of these chapters will be included in your micro spiral. Similarly for the distribution, for the welfare, for the macroeconomics, Freund and Dornbusch, and for money and finance, then for international economics it is Paul Krugman and Salvatore. We'll be starting today with the international economics part. So a list of topic is there, no need to buy any specific book, all Xerox will be included in your micro and macro and money and banking spirals. वो भी अगर आप रेफर नहीं करते, no problem with that, just focus on the class notes. That means we are providing that dictation by referring to these sources. That means if you want to refer to that book, the book is there. Clear? So syllabus wise we will be starting this with international economics. So international economics in terms of syllabus, it will be part of paper 1. So paper 1 in optional has 5 parts. One is advanced micro, then advanced macro, money banking and finance, international economics and growth and development. These are the 5 parts. And the paper 2 broadly divided into 2 sections, pre-independence and the post-independence. Post-independence further divided into 2 parts, pre-liberalization and post-liberalization. We have a more detailed syllabus for economic service. In fact, for economic service the structure will be this: 6 paper. Out of that 6, 4 is for economics, G1, 2, 3 and Indian economy. And this for paper 1, general economics 1 paper will have 2 parts, micro and math, stats and econometrics. Second paper has 8 parts. So we will cover the major one is growth and development, rather macro, then growth and development, then international economics, balance of payment and global institution. So today we are basically starting with this international economics part. It is a major one in terms of the weightage of the topic. Now international economics will, in fact, you can club all 3 here. In the sense, international has 2 parts in fact. One is the micro approach. So in this section we cover only theories of international trade, and the second part of the international is balance of payment, which is macro in nature. First part will be micro in nature, second part is macro in nature. So macro is basically BOP and the foreign exchange and the related theories. So, and the third part is the global institution, but in the optional it is only WTO and the related questions. But in economic service there will be WTO question, there will be IMF based question, there will be World Bank question, G20 का question भी है, जैसे current year में G20 का question आ रखा है. So there are many global institutions you have to cover in the economic service, and in the optional it is only about WTO and the agreement of the WTO, impact on the Indian economy. Clear? And third paper will have 4 parts: public finance, environmental, industrial, state market and planning. And fourth is the Indian economy. Indian economy में जो extra topic है, one important difference between the syllabus of optional and the syllabus of economic service. Pre-independence Indian economy is part of only economics optional for the civil service, not part of the economic service. But in economic service, what you add? Few topics like labor. A complete question on pension reform was there in 2026. Then urbanization and development, this topic, and inflation. Rest all we can say is common with the optional content also. So we'll be starting this Indian economy in a separate class from 17th of August, that is after 15th August. So we'll add 2 classes every week for the Indian economy, and every Saturday current events का topic update हो रहा है. So we'll be having a separate video also for that purpose. That will be only online for updating about the current events of that week. So starting from the August, it has been last Saturday का upload हुआ है. We'll be having every week for current upgradation. Clear? And when the economic survey will come next year, January end or February first week, we will have 1 extra week lecture for economic survey and union budget, just to update all the data. Clear? So this is the orientation part. Now you can begin first with the international economic section. So just try to maintain all in a separate framework. That means if you are writing the micro or macro, then try to write all those content in a separate book, separate notebook. So first start with the international economics part. So international economics has in fact 3 sections we can say. One is the theories, second is the balance of payment, and third is global institution. International trade theories, then balance of payment and foreign exchange market, and global institution. All 3 are part of the international economics. So start with the international economics part. In terms of content, you can specify that this is part of paper 1. This is part of paper 1 for optional, and it is part of general economics 2. for economic service. Generic name is 2 for economic service. In generic names 2, in fact, it is written in 3 different parts. One is international economics, then other is the balance of payment, and the third is a global institution. Syllabus of economic service is more defined, clear. So 3 different topic is there: international economics, BOP, and the global institution, and all 3 are part of पेपर 1 in the civil service. But उसके अंदर सब पार्ट्स मेंशन है कि WTO is included there, BOP is included there. You can see the syllabus. ठीक है, इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स का कंटेंट यहाँ से: ओल्ड एंड न्यू थियरीज ऑफ इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड, comparative advantage, terms of trade and offer curve, product cycle and the strategic trade theories, trade as an engine of growth, theories of underdevelopment in an open economy, then instrument of the trade policy like import tariff, import quota, where we calculate the optimum tariff, prohibitive tariff. If there will be tariff imposed, then what will be the net effect on the welfare, how to find the production distortion loss, consumption distortion loss, and the net effect on the welfare. Then second part is a balance of payment. This is a macro in approach. So all theories related to the balance of payment. Syllabus के साथ एक इनफैक्ट इशू ये रहता है कि they are not elaborating every dimension of the syllabus. That means you can see this parts written, but there will be some question which is not written in the syllabus part, like it is not making a complete list of the theories. So what we cover in the old and the new theories is simply saying old and the new theories. So we must know what is the difference between the old theories and the new theories, and what are the different theories covered in the old, and what are the different theories covered in the new trade theories, like absolute cost advantage, comparative cost advantage, Heckscher-Ohlin model, specific factor model, standard trade model. All are part of the old theories. New theories are based upon imperfect competition, monopolistic competition. So imperfect competition and the impact on the trade. How trade arises due to internal economies of scale. How trade arises due to external economies of scale. In that case, we consider the case of dumping. What is reciprocal dumping? So those are the topic for first section of the trade theories. So just make a framework here first. First we start the theories of the trade and divide all theories into 2 parts. Make this heading. Just make a frame first of all. Theories of international trade and theories of international trade divided into 2 parts. First is old theories and new theories. Old and new theories. See, whenever we cover the old theories, all old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. All old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. So what is the feature of perfect competition market? There are large number of firms producing homogeneous product. So if I refer to the old theories, then all old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. It is perfectly competitive market. New trade theories assume that market is imperfectly competitive. Imperfectly competitive market. So when we talk about the trade between 2 different countries and we say that the market is perfectly competitive, so if I am referring to the market, suppose we are referring to the market in the home country, and home country is producing 2 different products, one is cloth, other is food. Similarly, in the foreign country, In the foreign country, there are two industries, cloth and food. So if I discuss trade between home country and the foreign country, trade between these two countries, then what will be the nature of trade? All cloth producers are producing identical cloth. All food producer also produces identical food. So if I say that home country is exporting cloth, so if home country is exporting cloth, in exchange home country will be importing food. This type of trade is called inter-industry trade. Old theory explain only what? Inter-industry trade. One country will export one commodity and it will import the other commodity. But if I say that the market is imperfectly competitive, in that condition what will happen? Market is imperfectly competitive. So when market is imperfectly competitive, it means if you discuss about the home country and the foreign country, I am saying in the home country there is production of cloth, in the foreign country there is production of cloth. So I am referring to only cloth here. Cloth here, in this also cloth. But these are not identical cloth. They are differentiated cloth because it is based upon which market? Imperfectly, that is monopolistic in nature. So if it is monopolistic in nature, firms produce differentiated product. So home country is producing cloth, but all cloth producers are not producing identical cloth. They are producing variety of cloth. So now what is the nature of trade here? Home country could be exporting cloth and importing cloth also. Home country is exporter of cloth and importer of cloth also. But it is not the same cloth. It is the differentiated cloth. So that type of trade is called intra-industry trade. So a question was asked, what is the difference between inter-industry trade and intra-industry trade? What is the difference between inter-industry trade and intra-industry trade? So intra-industry trade will arise only in which model? New trade theories, because only new trade theory assume that market is imperfectly competitive. Intra-industry trade is not part of old theories. Now when we discuss about the old theories, there are many models, various theories, like Ricardian model se begin karenge, then it is specific factor model, standard trade model, HO model, but all will explain which product will be exported and which product will be imported, and all will come to a same conclusion, that a country will specialize in that line of production in which it has comparative advantage. Comparative advantage के reasoning अलग अलग होते जाएंगे, but all will come to that same conclusion, that it will be based upon comparative advantage. So a country having comparative advantage in one line of production will export that commodity, and country having comparative disadvantage in other line will import that commodity. So here trade is based upon comparative advantage. And what is the basis of trade here in the new trade theories? Which product will be exported? You are exporting cloth, importing cloth, but which cloth will be exported? Which cloth will be exported? Not necessarily based upon comparative cost advantage. It is not simply that the production cost is lower, therefore you are exporting that cloth, because that cloth is different. So you may have a preference for wearing foreign cloth. It is your preference, not because of the price. It is your choice. So that pattern of trade here is unpredictable. यहाँ का pattern of trade क्या है? Unpredictable. Which cloth will be exported, which cloth will be imported, it cannot be predicted. So in that way it is unpredictable. जो in trade का pattern होगा वो unpredictable होगा. ठीक है? So when we explain the old theories and the new trade theories, then we make a difference between these two. Now just see the nature of question that has been asked. Now combine what are the different old theories, so you can just continue in this difference. Theories of international trade. Just make a list of topic to be included in the old. Old theory is first. Within that you can now create different models. Initially I will start with a 2 by 2 by 1 model. 2 by 2 by 1 means a trade between two countries producing two products by using one factor of production. Trade between two countries like home country and foreign country producing two products, cloth and food, by using one factor of production, that is labor. Labor is the only factor of production in the Ricardian model. This will be the Ricardian model. 2 by 2 by 2 is a Ricardian theory. So first we explain a Ricardian theory. First we explain the Ricardian theory. So naturally when we explain the Ricardian theory, we will give some reference about the Adam Smith absolute cost advantage also, because Ricardian theory is an improvement over Adam Smith absolute cost advantage. Adam Smith gave absolute cost advantage theory, Ricardo gave comparative cost advantage theory. So why the comparative cost difference arises, that has been explained in this first model, and there is an improvement provided by the Haberler in the Ricardian model also. The comparative cost, that is again a question being asked in the trade theory. The second one will be, we move from 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 by 1 to 2 by 2 by 2. So 2 by 2 by 2 means trade between two countries producing two products by using two factor of production. So now we consider two factor production. One factor is, let us say, labor, other factor is capital. This model is a Heckscher-Ohlin model, HO model. Heckscher-Ohlin model. The main idea of Heckscher-Ohlin model say that trade arises because countries differ in terms of their factor endowment. So home country may be labor abundant, foreign country may be capital abundant. So what is the meaning of factor abundance? And then if there are two products, one could be labor intensive, other could be capital intensive. So a labor abundant country will have comparative advantage in labor intensive products. So home country will be exporting the labor intensive product if home country is labor abundant and cloth is labor intensive. A Ricardian model में trade is arising also due to comparative cost advantage, but that comparative cost is different because of difference in the productivity of labor. Labor is the only factor there, but labor differ in terms of their productivity. In home it could be more effective or more efficient, in foreign country it could be less efficient. So they differ in terms of productivity. So because of difference in productivity, trade arises. See, what you are going to explain is the reason for trade. Why two countries trade? Ricardo said that they trade because the labor in different countries have different productivity. HO model says what? Two countries trade because they have different resources. Resource का difference है. That is why they trade. Then you move from 2 by 2 by 2. This is a second. Move to the third one, which is a 2 by 2 by 3. If you arrange in this form, the concept will become easier. You will start with the one factor, then two factor, then three factor. One factor, two factor and three factor. Now we discuss trade between home and foreign country, again producing two product by using three factor of production like labor, capital and land. T said land denote किया गया. Labor, capital and land. And what is different here in this model is that if I say that cloth is produced, quantity of cloth is a function of labor used in cloth and capital, and quantity of food is a function of labor used in food and land. Now it means that capital is specific to cloth, land is specific to food. Capital is specific to cloth, land is specific to food. This is a specific factor model. Capital is specific to cloth, land is specific to food. A specific factor model है. This third model is a specific factor model. a specific factor model. That means only labor can move from one industry to the other industry. Capital cannot move from one to the other, because capital is required only in the production of cloth. Land is required only in the production of food. So a specific factor model, and what is the implication of that for the distribution of income? One more point in all theories will be that if two countries will trade, then trade will result into impact on the distribution of income also. That means which factor will become better off and which factor will become worse off. So that point we will discuss. What is the difference between this theory and this? HO model में specific factor model में क्या difference हुआ? In HO model we again talk about the two factor labor and capital, but both factor can move from one industry to another industry. Or in the specific, only labor can move. Only one factor is mobile, the other is fixed. Only labor is mobile, the other is fixed. But in the HO model, both labor and capital can move from one industry to another industry, but they cannot move from one country to the other country. Remember, we are discussing trade of goods. So between two countries, only movement of goods is allowed, not movement of labor or not movement of any other factor production. Then see, these are the different chapters. Salvatore या Krugman में रेफर करेंगे तो ये अलग अलग चैप्टर है, and within that chapter a lot of content will be there. So these are the different chapters. I am just giving you introduction about these. Then the fourth is again based upon the HO model, but it is referred as the standard trade model. The standard trade model. That standard trade model will take help of a relative supply and a relative demand curve. Relative supply and relative demand curve tool, and it is actually based upon the assumptions of this HO model. तो 2/2 का concept वहाँ भी रहेगा. But what is the meaning of when we say relative supply and relative demand? Relative. When you simply draw the demand, then what do you write on the axis? If you are drawing the demand curve, so when you draw the demand curve, you will write price here and the quantity here. But I am saying relative demand. So relative demand means relative price. So if there are two products, write the relative price there. Relative price means the price of cloth upon price of food. So relative quantity will be quantity of cloth upon quantity of food. So first we derive a relative supply curve there, relative demand curve, and then intersection will determine the relative price. Now the importance of this chapter is that this will help you to explain what is the meaning of terms of trade, how terms of trade changes, what is the impact on terms of trade when there is economic growth. Growth can be export biased, it can be import biased. There is idea of a mesmerizing growth, that question is there. Then impact of import tariff, export subsidy. So to explain those questions, we use the relative supply and relative demand curve, plus by using that RS and RD we will also derive the offer curve concept. So that offer curve concept is also part of that standard trade theory. So a lot of content in the standard trade theory model and more content in the HO model. So these are the two major part here, because HO model will use like Leontief paradox का concept है, Stop-Loss Samuelson factor price equalization का concept होगा. So there are then Heckscher-Ohlin-Wenneck theorem है there. HO model has also been reformulated now in the form of factor content. That means now we have a new version also, not only in terms of the goods, it is in terms of the factor content. So what are the modification in the HO model? So primarily we stick to these four models in old theories, and but all old theories assume that market is perfectly competitive. So again I repeat, whenever you are reading Ricardian model or HO model or specific factor model or standard trade model, just keep in mind the market is perfectly competitive. So these theories will explain only which type of trade? Only inter-industry trade. They are not explaining intra-industry trade. Intra-industry trade will be explained by the new trade theories. Intra-industry will be explained by the new trade theories, but within that there is no further division. When we explain the new theories will take into account, basically they will consider two things: how trade arises due to internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. Internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. Internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. What is the difference between internal and external? When I say internal economies of scale and when it is external economies of scale, how they differ? Internal economies of scale means the cost per unit will decrease as firm produces more quantity, and external means cost per unit will decrease as market produces more quantity. One depend upon the size of the firm, other depend upon the size of market. Internal depend upon size of firm, external depend upon size of market. Like if you draw the average cost curve for in the case of internal economies of scale. So if this is the average cost curve, internal economies of scale will create a declining average cost curve. So when firm produces more quantity from x1 to x2, if that cost get decreased, then it is internal, because the market consists of many firm and you have drawn average cost curve for, let us say, firm X. So if that firm X produces more quantity, suppose Maruti produces more number of car, then if the cost for Maruti get decreased, then it is internal economies. But if the firm continue to produce same quantity, but in market there are many firms, more and more firms entering into the market, then for the same quantity average cost can get decreased also. That means it will shift. Shifting means for same quantity now average cost is lower. That will arise due to external. External में average cost क्या करना है? Shift करना है. Internal में shift नहीं करना है. It is movement. Internal में movement है. External में shift है. In the case of internal there will be movement along the average cost curve. In the case of external there will be shift. Both are reason for trade. दोनों ही reason है trade के लिए. Internal economies of scale also give rise to international trade. External also gives rise to international trade. Why China is able to produce a lot of goods at a lower price, lower cost? Because they realize what? External economies of scale. More and more firms concentrated in one geographical area, more and more special economic zones, export processing zones. So what cost advantage they get? By having more firms in a particular area. So there must be some economic region. They are basically explained by using the concept of external economies of scale. See, what we are going to study here is what are the reasons for trade. Why countries trade? So countries trade because productivity is different. They trade because resources are different. They are trading also because some factors are specific. They are trading also because some goods realize the benefits of internal economies of scale. Some goods realize the benefits of external economies of scale. There is other theories also, like trade arises due to technological gap also. Why we are importing a lot of capital intensive good and the new good produced in the developed countries, because the technology available in that country is different and the technology available here is different. So trade also arises due to technological gap. So technological gap model is also there. But I am just sticking to the old and the new trade theories. New trade theories you can add that part, technological gap model also further. But first we will complete this frame. That means we start with the Ricardian, then HO, then specific, then standard, then internal, then external, and then we will explain the technological gap model. Clear? And just see that question paper first. ठीक है. फॉर ऑल टॉपिक वेन एवर यू स्टार्ट अ टॉपिक इट इज़ ऑलवेज बेटर टू फर्स्ट सी द पास्ट ईयर क्वेश्चन फ्रॉम दैट टॉपिक. तो आपको ये पोर्टल पे अवेलेबल मिल जाएंगे, वहाँ से डाउनलोड करके प्रेफरेबली आप अपने स्पायरल में उसको पेस्ट कर लोगे. इट विल बी बेटर. दैट मीन्स जहाँ कंटेंट है वहीं पे अगर क्वेश्चन हो तो इट विल बी ऑलवेज बेटर. सो दैट अदरवाइज यू हैव टू गो टू अगेन टू द पोर्टल, ओपन करोगे वहाँ से क्वेश्चन लेने. सो लास्ट ईयर इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स फॉर ऑप्शनल इज हैविंग अ ग्रेटर वेटेज. दैट मीन्स अबाउट 5 to 7 क्वेश्चन यूजुअली हर साल रहते हैं. एंड यू कैन सी दिस क्वेश्चन, डिफाइन ऑफर कर्व एंड एक्सप्लेन द शेप. इट इज नॉट अ डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चन. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय ऑफर कर्व and why it is bending backward? Explain the shape of the offer curve. Then what is a J curve effect? ये बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट वाले सेक्शन का हो गया. State Heckscher-Ohlin theory. So you have to just state the Heckscher-Ohlin theory and explain the Leontief paradox in this context. Price effect, protective effect, consumption effect of the tariff. Then this question from the Mundell-Fleming model. Then global institution also part of the optional. इंटरनेशनल में सारे इंक्लूडेड होंगे एक टॉपिक के अंदर. स्टॉपलर-सैमुअल्सन थ्योरम. One time this numerical question was asked related to the import quota and import tariff. A 20 mark question was there first time for the numerical question was asked in the international economics section. So how to solve this import tariff and import quota. Then external economies, जो लिस्ट प्रिपेयर किया उसका सिग्निफिकेंस देखिए. अबाउट फैक्टर अबंडेंट, दैट इज एचओ मॉडल. रिकार्डन मॉडल, इमर्सराइजिंग ग्रोथ, acquired advantage in transfer trade, and product life cycle. I was referring to this technological gap model and product life cycle. This question number 39. What are the features based upon which new trade theories are built that are distinctly different from old theories? So descriptive answer पे ज़्यादा focus करना. What are the features based upon which new trade theories are built which are distinctly different from the old theories? So how new theories are different from the old? New theories based upon imperfect, old theories based upon perfect competition, but you need to elaborate. Old theories explain only inter-industry trade. New will explain intra-industry trade also. Pattern of trade more predictable in the old trade. It is not predictable in the new trade theories. Old trade theories basically explain if two countries are very similar in terms of the endowment, then which type of trade will dominate. Like India is trading with the US also, India is trading with Bangladesh also. But which type of trade between India and US and which type of trade between India and Bangladesh? India Bangladesh may be more similar resources. तो जब दो कंट्री के पास सिमिलर रिसोर्स होंगे तो which type of trade? Intra-industry. And when they have different type of resource, then inter-industry will be more dominating. So we have to elaborate on. That means you have to have given, let us say, 2 or 3 sides. So you need to explain the answer in about, let us say, 200 to 300 words. So you need more content to answer this type of question. Then this question number 45 will answer today. Explain with the help of diagram how Haberler theory of opportunity cost is improvement over the comparative cost advantage theory given by the Ricardo. How Haberler theory of opportunity cost is improvement over the comparative cost theory given by the Ricardo. This question was in 2017 a compulsory question. Write a short note on gravity model of trade. यूजुअली जितने भी बुक है उसमें कोर कंटेंट रिकार्डियन से हम पढ़ते हैं. दिस इज गिवन इन द इंट्रोडक्शन चैप्टर, जो यूजुअली स्टूडेंट स्किप कर देते हैं. सो दैट ग्रेविटी मॉडल इज देयर इन द इंट्रोडक्टरी चैप्टर, ओनली फर्स्ट चैप्टर. सो विल स्टार्ट बेसिकली विद दिस ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड एंड देन वी विल स्टार्ट द रिकार्डियन एंड एचओ मॉडल. ठीक है, नंबर ऑफ क्वेश्चन इज मोर. एंड सिमिलरली फॉर इकोनॉमिक सर्विस ये बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट का सेक्शन है, और बैलेंस ऑफ पेमेंट के बाद इंटरनेशनल इकोनॉमिक्स. दिस, ठीक है. लाइक स्टॉप लॉस समर्थन थ्योरम, ये क्वेश्चन रेगुलरली आपको मिलेगा. नॉन टैरिफ ट्रेड बैरियर्स, ट्रेड क्रिएशन, ट्रेड डाइवर्जन. This question you can find same. How has Heberler improved upon Ricardian theory of international trade? ये ऑप्शन में भी सेम क्वेश्चन था, इकोनॉमिक सर्विस के अंदर भी सेम क्वेश्चन. State and explain the Archer theorem and factor price equalization theorem. So a lot of question will be getting like question number 8 आप देखो और question number 12. ये 8 और 12 in fact same है. So 70-80% question will be in fact repeated. मतलब सेम पूल ऑफ क्वेश्चन से बेसिकली वो आ रहे हैं. सो जस्ट विल रेफरिंग टू दिस क्वेश्चंस, वी कैन स्टार्ट फर्स्ट विथ द ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड एंड देन वी विल कम टू द रिकार्डियन मॉडल. सो फर्स्ट स्टार्ट विद द ग्रेविटी मॉडल ऑफ ट्रेड. Gravity model of trade. So the gravity model of trade, the idea is that this model actually says that the trade between two countries, you can consider this country as a country I and country J, or country 1 and country 2. Idea says that the volume of trade between country I and country J depends upon the size of the economies and the distance between the countries. Size of the economy and the distance. Size will be denoted by GDP, not the geographical size. Size का मतलब यहाँ पे है amount of GDP that they produce. So it is a GDP of country I and GDP of country J, and it varies inversely with distance between country I and country J. Distance between country I and country J. So trade is a volume of trade between country I and country J depend upon the size of the economy, and it varies positively with the size of the economies. Why trade volume between USA and China will be more? Why they will trade more? Because of their size. And what is the relation with the size of the economy? If your GDP is more, it means your income is more. When your income is more, your spending is more. And spending is not only on the domestic good but also on foreign good. So with more of the income there will be more of the spending. With more of the spending there will be more of trade. So trade between two countries depend upon the size of the economy, but it varies inversely with the distance, because greater will be the distance, greater will be the transportation cost, and lower will be the volume of trade. So that idea has been explained by the gravity model of trade, that trade between country I and country J depend upon the size and it varies inversely with the distance of the economies. You can find significance of this trade theories by saying why there is emergence of regional block. Regional block का emergence क्यों होता है? You can trade between one country and the other country distant, but why there is more and more emergence of the regional blocks? Because there is cost advantage if you trade with the neighboring countries, if you trade in the region. So that is basically a support for the gravity model. That gravity model is applicable. So first we is just an introductory idea that trade is, but it is, what is the most obvious drawback of this type of trade theories? What is the most obvious drawback? But it will fail to explain. It is explaining the overall trade, but it will fail to explain which product will be exported and which product will be. We are more interested in knowing that कि कौन से product में हमारा advantage होगा और किस में हमारा disadvantage होगा. That is not explained by this model. It is generally in general theory. It fail to explain the basis of the trade. So first write down the concept, then few limitation part of it. Write down the first paragraph. Gravity model of trade. Gravity model of trade. Gravity model of trade relates trade between. Gravity model of trade relates trade between any two countries, trade between any two countries to the size of their economies, to the size of their economies, to the size of their economies, and also with distance between two economies, distance between two economies, distance between two economies, full stop. There is strong empirical evidence, there is strong empirical evidence, the real life जो data it is supporting it, there is strong empirical evidence to support this idea, strong empirical evidence to support this idea. The empirical relation between size of country's economy, size of country's economy, and value of both its export and import, and value of both its export and import, value of both its export and import has been highlighted by this theory, has been highlighted by this theory. Next paragraph. Looking at world trade as a whole, looking at world trade as a whole, looking at world trade as a whole, after comma, economists have found an equation, economists have found an equation, economists have found an equation that predicts, economists have found an equation that predicts value of trade between two countries more accurately, that predicts value of trade between two countries, value of trade between two countries more accurately, more accurately, more accurately. This equation, this is value of trade between country I and country J is equal to yi into yj upon dij. Below that, therefore taking other things constant, therefore taking other things constant, therefore taking other things constant, the value of trade between two countries, the value of trade between two countries, value of trade between two countries is proportional to, is proportional to country's GDP, proportional to country's GDP, and it diminishes with, and it diminishes with distance between countries, and it diminishes with distance between countries, it diminishes with distance between countries, full stop. The reason for gravity model, the reason for gravity model is similar to, is similar to, is similar to Newton's law of gravity, is similar to Newton's law of gravity, Newton's law of gravity. So just provide that analogy by you are relating it. Just as gravitational attraction between any two object is proportional to product of their mass, तो यहाँ पे मास का मतलब जीडीपी हो जाएगा, इस प्रोडक्ट ऑफ देयर मास, एंड इट डिमिनिशेस विथ डिस्टेंस, So similarly, trade between two countries is proportional to product of their GDP, and it diminishes with their distance, Next paragraph. The reasoning is that with higher GDP, there will be more income. With higher GDP, there will be more income, and with more income, there will be more spending, With more income, there will be more spending. Full stop. In an open economy, spending is also on foreign good. Spending is also on foreign good. Therefore, with higher GDP, there will be greater demand for import. With higher GDP, there will be greater demand for import. Next paragraph. On the other end, with more distance, there will be greater transportation cost. With more distance, there will be greater transportation cost. There will be more or greater transportation cost. With more distance, there will be greater transportation cost, and as a result, there will be less trade. Next paragraph. This model has implications for emergence of regional blocks. Emergence of regional blocks, which support the idea that value of trade increases, as value of trade increases as distance between two countries decreases. As distance between two countries decreases. Distance between two countries decreases. However, next paragraph. However, the most important drawback of gravity model is that the most important drawback of gravity model is that it fails to explain the pattern of trade. 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 That means which product will be exported, which product will be imported, we cannot conclude by gravity model only. In addition, it does not explain the reasoning. It does not explain the reasoning behind specialization. Reasoning behind specialization. Reasoning behind specialization. Which product will be specialized in which country cannot be explained only by a Ricardian gravity model. ठीक है, this type of content आपको याद रखना because that question was for 10 mark compulsory question. So if it get for 10 marker, that means you have about 100-150 words written. Exactly what you have to write वो आपके पास लिखा होना चाहिए. Now come to the main part now. Start with the Ricardian model. Ricardian model of trade. A Ricardian model of trade. Can write it as a comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory. See, this model is a 2x2x1 model. So what we are going to explain here is that we take two countries, home and foreign. See, if you are referring to the Krugman book, Paul Krugman, so it gives example in the form of home and foreign. If you are reading the Salvatore, nation 1, nation 2 is written, and good 1, good 2. So but it will always be better if you take the specific product. So home country and foreign country produces two product. Suppose it is cheese and wine. I am taking the same example so that if you are referring to the book, it will be easier for you. But these two products are produced by only one factor of production, that is labor. One factor of production, which is labor. Labor is the only factor of production here. इसके जो ओरिजिनल कंसेप्ट है, Ricardian concept, it is based upon the labor theory of value. Labor theory of value means value of the product is determined by how much labor it requires to produce that product, because labor is the only factor, and we are assuming that market is competitive. So if market is competitive, then what is price? Equal to marginal cost. P equal to MC होना है. जो cost होगा वही price होगा. There is no profit margin here. So if whatever be the cost, and cost is what? If we are using only labor to produce the output, so whatever labor is required, that will be determining the value of the output also, based upon the labor theory of value. Over a period of time, this comparative cost advantage has been further improved by adding the Heberler interpretation. So Heberler interpretation में labor is not necessarily the only factor. It can involve more than one factor, but not specifically written. It is not simply saying that labor is the only factor. Ricardian model say that labor is the only factor. Heberler does not say that labor is the only factor. It simply says there is a comparative cost advantage. Comparative cost means cost of one good in terms of other. That means when you write the opportunity cost. So when I take opportunity cost of cheese, it means to produce 1 unit of cheese, how many unit of wine that has to be sacrificed. So we are measuring in terms of the opportunity cost. Now before explaining that concept of trade, just focus on this description, and trade will come later. Just see, home country can produce cheese and wine by using labor. Take an example first. Right now I am just referring to the home country. So home country has a labor endowment. Suppose that labor endowment available is 2400 hour. It is not 1%, 2%, it is in terms of the hour. Home country has a given amount of labor hour available. By using this labor hour, home country can produce 2 commodity. One commodity is cheese and the other commodity is wine. Now question is, how much quantity of cheese can be produced in that 2400 hour? How much quantity of cheese can be produced by using all 2400 hour? That depend upon productivity of the labor. That depend upon the productivity of labor. Now that productivity of labor is being written as, just see this how you are writing and how you have to interpret it. This is a unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. I repeat, unit labor requirement to produce cheese in home country. Unit labor requirement, that means how many unit of labor is required to produce 1 unit of cheese. So if I say that this is a 4 hour, it means what? It will take 4 hours to produce 1 unit of cheese in the home country. So in the 2400 hour you can produce, in the 2400 hour you can produce maximum 600 unit of cheese. Similarly, if I write ALW, unit labor requirement to produce wine in the home country, unit labor requirement to produce wine, and if that number is 6 hour, it means it will take 6 hours to produce 1 unit of wine in the home country. So in the 2400 hour you can produce 400 unit of wine or 600 unit of cheese or many combination in between. So just you will mark these 2 corner and then join it with the straight line. This line is production possibility frontier or PPC, production possibility curve. Production possibility frontier, production possibility curve. And why straight line? Why not concave? And when it will be concave? It is drawn a straight line, but PPF is also drawn concave. We will draw concave later. Whenever opportunity cost is constant, then line will be straight. या simple form में रखेंगे. If we are dealing with only one factor, it will be straight. If you are dealing with 2 factor, it will become concave. That means in the HO model it will become concave. In the Ricardian model it will be a straight line. In the Ricardian model it is straight line. In the HO model it will become concave. Constant opportunity cost, straight line. Rising opportunity cost, concave to the origin. And can you write equation for that line? PPF draw किया गया, उस line का equation लिख सकते हैं. It can be written as ALC into quantity of cheese. So what is ALC? Unit labor requirement. 1 यूनिट को प्रोड्यूस करने में कितना टाइम लगेंगे, मल्टीप्लाइड बाय द क्वांटिटी ऑफ चीज. सो दैट विल डिनोट टाइम एलोकेटेड फॉर चीज प्लस ALW into QW is time allocated for wine, and that must be less than or equal to L. Equal to means on the line, less than inside the line. Equal to is on the line, less than inside the line. So if you have written the equation of the line, what is the slope of that line, that is PPF. बट स्लोप ऑफ दिस अगर मैंने मार्क कर रखा है तो स्लोप अलग अलग तरीके से इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हो आप. परपेंडिकुलर बाय बेस बोल दो, सिंपल, मोस्ट इजी इंटरप्रिटेशन ही होता है. परपेंडिकुलर बाय बेस, सो व्हाट इज परपेंडिकुलर? 400 एंड बेस इज, तो 400 अपॉन 600 दैट इज 4/6, 2/, तो स्लोप इज नेगेटिव 2/3. कैन इट बी रिटन एज ALC upon ALW? Is it the same number? ALC by ALW is also 2/3. So opportunity slope of PPF is simply ALC by ALW. And what does this number actually measures? What does slope of PPF measures? What is ALC by ALW? This ALC by ALW is nothing but opportunity cost of what? Opportunity cost of that commodity which is written on x axis. जो भी commodity आप लिखो उसे, it is always opportunity cost of that commodity which is written on x axis. So it is opportunity cost of what? Opportunity cost of cheese. So opportunity cost of cheese is 2/3. Can you interpret this number? What is opportunity cost of cheese 2/3 mean? I said opportunity cost of cheese is 2/3. It means what? To produce one extra unit of cheese, we have to give up 2/3 unit. Opportunity cost is 2/3, not 3/2. Opportunity cost is 2/3. So in order to produce one extra unit of cheese, we have to give up 2/3 unit of wine. 2/3 unit of wine, because to produce 1 unit of cheese you require how much time? 4 hours. So just think, what is the opportunity cost of that 4 hours? Opportunity cost of that 4 hours allocated to produce cheese is how much output of other commodity you can produce in that 4 hours. तो other commodity produce करने के लिए 6 hours चाहिए, तो in 4 hours you can produce only 2/3. So opportunity cost, slope of PPF is always measuring what? Opportunity cost of that good which is written on x axis. And if I take the reciprocal of it, it will be opportunity cost of wine in the home country. Clear? Opportunity cost of wine in the home country. So first we draw the PPF. By drawing the PPF you can get the slope of the PPF, and then we can write the opportunity cost of cheese. We get the opportunity cost of cheese here. Similarly you can calculate opportunity cost for cheese in which country? Foreign country. तो फॉरेन कंट्री के लिए भी ऐसे इंफॉर्मेशन गिवन होंगे. फॉरेन कंट्री का इंफॉर्मेशन लिखते समय सिर्फ क्या करना है? वी विल राइट दैट ALC स्टार अपॉन ALW स्टार, वो मार्क कर लिया. सो वंस यू हैव कैलकुलेटेड द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ चीज इन बोथ कंट्री, देन रिकार्डियन मॉडल से दैट अ कंट्री विल specialize and export that commodity in which it has comparative advantage, and comparative advantage is measured in terms of opportunity cost. So a country will have comparative advantage in that line of production for which opportunity cost is lower in home country as compared to the other country. मतलब चीज़ का हमने अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट निकाल लिया, जिस कंट्री में अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट चीज़ का कम होगा, दैट कंट्री विल एक्सपोर्ट दैट प्रोडक्ट. दैट कंट्री विल एक्सपोर्ट दैट प्रोडक्ट. अप्लाई कर सकते हैं इसे. फर्स्ट डू दैट. आई विल गिव यू अ न्यूमेरिकल क्वेश्चन जो पास्ट पेपर में आ रखा है. जस्ट राइट अप टू दिस द मेन आइडिया ऑफ द कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज. That means we have to basically calculate one information, this ALC, other is a ALW, and we will compare this number with the ALC star upon ALW star. It could be this, it could be the other way around, it could be same also. So if this is the case, then what is the interpretation? Opportunity cost of cheese is less in home country, so home country will specialize in cheese and foreign country will specialize in, because the moment you will take inverse, जैसे आप इसका इन्वर्स लोगे, इन्वर्स लेने पे इनइक्वालिटी क्या हो जाएगी? बदल जाएगी, वट एवर बी द नंबर. सो इफ वन कंट्री हैज़ comparative advantage in one line of production, the other country will necessarily have comparative advantage in other line of production. So first write down the main idea. Comparative cost advantage theory. Comparative cost advantage theory comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Ricardo. Comparative cost advantage theory has been formulated by Ricardo. Formulated by Ricardo. So this model of international trade, this model of international trade is also referred as, this model of international trade is also referred as 2 by 2 by 1 model. 2 by 2 by 1 model. According to this theory, a country has comparative advantage. According to this theory, a country has comparative advantage. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good. A country has comparative advantage in producing a good if opportunity cost of producing that good, if opportunity cost of producing that good, if opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good, opportunity cost of producing that good in terms of other good, in terms of other good is lower in that country, is lower in that country, is lower in that country as compared to other country, is lower in that country as compared to other country, as compared to other country. Full stop. This approach in which international trade is arising, this approach in which international trade is arising, this approach in which international trade is arising due to difference in productivity of labor, due to difference in productivity of labor, due to difference in productivity of labor is known as, due to difference in productivity of labor is known as a Ricardian model of international trade. A Ricardian model of international trade. Underline that. This approach in which international trade is arising due to difference in productivity of labor is known as a Ricardian model of international trade. So in the Ricardian model, trade arises due to difference in productivity. Productivity क्यों कह रहे हैं यहाँ पे? Because we are writing that 4 hours, 6 hours, they indicate what? Productivity of the worker. If you are able to produce 1 unit in less time, labor is more productive. And if you take more time to produce same unit, then labor is less productive. Next paragraph. In this model, PPF is a straight line. PPF is a straight line. PPF is a straight line due to constant opportunity cost. Due to constant opportunity cost. Underline that. PPF is a straight line due to constant opportunity cost. Constant opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures, slope of PPF measures, slope of PPF measures opportunity cost. Slope of PPF measures opportunity cost, that is cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. Cost of one good in terms of other good. Just said, consider this example as a part of note. Suppose if I give you information about a home country and a foreign country, or country 1 and country 2. In the home country, ALC is a 6 hour and ALW is a 4 hour, and ALC star in the foreign country is a 4 hour. ALW star in the foreign country is a 1 hour. So if you just compare the cloth or the cheese, so in order to produce cheese in the home country, it takes 6 hours. 1 unit of cheese can be produced by the foreign country in using 4 hours. So you can say that labor is more productive to produce cheese in the foreign country. Similarly, to produce wine also in home country it will take 4 hours, in the foreign country it will take 1 hour. So technically foreign country has absolute advantage in both line of production. दोनों ही प्रोडक्ट फॉरेन कंट्री में कम टाइम में प्रोड्यूस हो रहा है एज कम्पेयर टू होम कंट्री. सो एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज लाइज विथ फॉरेन कंट्री इन बोथ लाइन ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. बट व्हाट अबाउट द कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट एडवांटेज? See, Adam Smith provided the absolute cost advantage. Adam Smith argued that trade arises due to absolute cost advantage. That means trade will arise if one country has absolute cost advantage. Absolute में you are comparing only one product. I am comparing only cheese with in home and foreign, and only wine in home and foreign. But when I say comparative, comparative is determined by the opportunity cost. So comparative is determined by opportunity cost. So what is the opportunity cost of cheese in the home country? If I write opportunity cost of cheese in home country, then what is the opportunity cost of cheese? This ratio 6/4. So this number will be 1.5. And what will be for wine? Just suppose it 4/6, 2/3. And how much it will be for the foreign country? In the foreign country it will be how much? 4/1 and then 1/4. So 4/1 and then 1/4. Now based upon comparative cost advantage, what will be the argument? In which country opportunity cost of cheese is lower? Home country opportunity cost of cheese is lower. So cheese will be specialized in home country. And for which country opportunity cost is lower? For wine, in which country opportunity cost is lower? For wine ये 2/3 है, 1/4 है, तो ये is 0.66, that is 0.25. So home country will specialize in cheese, and foreign country will specialize in wine. So trade is arising. Trade based upon comparative cost advantage. So Ricardo basically suggested that even if one country has absolute advantage in both line of production, still there will be possibility of trade, because trade happens on the basis of comparative cost advantage, not on the basis of absolute cost advantage. Trade is arising mainly because of the comparative cost advantage, not on the basis of absolute cost advantage. Absolute में you compare only, that means you just as an individual can do different work in less number of time or efficiently, but it does not mean that a person will be allocating his time for all work. This work में आप more efficient है, you are efficient in all, but you have to see in which work you are more efficient. So you have to use that time for that more efficient work. Similarly is the case with the country. Write on this. In the above example, you can use this example. In the above example, In the above example, foreign country has absolute cost advantage. Foreign country has absolute cost advantage. Foreign country has absolute cost advantage in the production of both good. Absolute cost advantage in the production of both good, because labor productivity is more. Labor productivity is more in a foreign country. Labor productivity is more in foreign country. However, according to comparative cost advantage, based on opportunity cost, home country has comparative advantage. In the production of cheese, because opportunity cost of cheese is less in home country. On the other hand, foreign country has comparative cost advantage. In the production of wine. As opportunity cost is less in that country. Opportunity cost is less in that country. Just see related with the question for international. Question number 18. Okay, this is a 2018 question in ESG 2 paper. Okay, just see easy numerical, just read the question. The question says the following table provides the productivity of two countries, India and Bangladesh, in terms of production of paddy and textile. Since India appears to enjoy more efficiency in the production of paddy and textile, statement repeat हो रहा है. Do you think that trade is not beneficial between the two countries? Justify your answer. The information you have to read it carefully. It is saying output per unit of labor. Output, is it same as ALC? No. It is output, not hour. These are not hour. These are what? Output per unit of labor. That means in 1 hour they are producing this much of output. और जो information आपने लिखा है वो, to produce 1 unit, this much time is required. Clear? So these are basically not directly that ALC or ALW. These are basically inverse of that. So in output per unit of labor, that means 1 labor hour in India produces 4 unit of paddy, and 1 labor hour in India produces 8 unit of textile, whereas 1 labor hour in Bangladesh produces 1 paddy and 6. So in India labor produces more, paddy also in 1 hour, textile also in 1 hour. So India has absolute advantage in both line. So whether trade is beneficial for India? Yes, because trade arises on the basis of comparative cost. So for comparative cost we need to find what? Opportunity cost. So what will be opportunity cost now? What will be opportunity cost now in this condition? Easy है देखो. Just in those type of question, just draw the production possibility frontier. Suppose I draw the production possibility frontier for India, and always make a practice that first information you can write on the x-axis, second you can write on the y-axis. So in 1 hour India can produce 4 unit of paddy or 8 unit of textile. So I will simply write that number 4 and 8. ये दो option है. In between there can be possibilities, so you can just connect these 2 points. And for the other country, draw the, and but always maintain same, that is still right here paddy and textile. So how many unit? 1 and 6. And now tell me what is the slope? What is slope here? Slope is 8 by 4, that is 2. And slope measures what? Opportunity cost of the product written on the x-axis. So 2 is opportunity cost of paddy. So what is opportunity cost for textile? Inverse of it, 1 by 2. और वहाँ 6 or 1 by 6. Here you find slope as 6. And when you are writing answering that, just draw that PPF, find the slope, and then what else you can write? You make up opportunity cost table, and make an opportunity cost table for paddy and textile for home country, that is India, and foreign country. So you are writing it for India and for Bangladesh. So for paddy it was 2, and this is 1 by 2, this is 6 and 1 by 6. ठीक है? And for paddy where opportunity cost is less? For paddy opportunity cost is less in India, so India has comparative advantage in paddy. And for textile this number is less, so 1/6 less as compared to 1 by 2. So for textile opportunity cost is lower in which country? So Bangladesh will specialize in textile, India will specialize in paddy. They will be benefit from the trade. Just one point you have to just relate कि okay जो information given है, it is not in terms of hour, it is in terms of output. So when it is in terms of output, just write that output on the axis. Just कुछ नहीं सोचना है, जो output given है उसे मान के लिख दिया, and then calculate the slope. Clear? जस्ट कॉपी के लिए टेबल यहाँ को पे कॉपी कर लो. यू कैन मार्क द क्वेश्चन, ये PDF आपको मिल जाएगा वहाँ पोर्टल पे. ड्रॉ द PPF फॉर बोथ कंट्री एंड ड्रॉ द अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट टेबल एंड जस्ट कंक्लूजन. ड्रॉ दिस वन. ठीक है, ओके. जस्ट मार्क दिस ईयर इकोनॉमिक सर्विस पेपर ऑफ 2018. Just draw this table first. Output per unit of labor for India and Bangladesh for paddy and textile 4816. Then draw the PPF for India, draw the PPF for Bangladesh, and then draw the opportunity cost table. Write a short paragraph, just reasoning. In this example, India has absolute cost advantage. In this example, India has absolute cost advantage. India has absolute cost advantage in producing paddy and textile both. In producing paddy and textile both. In producing paddy and textile both. As in India, 1 unit of labor, as in India 1 unit of labor produces more of both product. 1 unit of labor produces more of both product. However, benefit of trade is determined by comparative cost advantage. Benefit of trade is determined by comparative cost advantage. Comparative cost advantage. Which depends on opportunity cost. Which depends on opportunity cost. Which depends on opportunity cost. Since opportunity cost for paddy is less in India, opportunity cost for paddy is less in India, opportunity cost of paddy is less in India, so India will specialize and export paddy. India will specialize and export paddy. India will specialize and export paddy. On the other hand, Bangladesh specialize and export textile. On the other hand, Bangladesh will specialize and export textile. On the other hand, Bangladesh will specialize and export textile because opportunity cost for textile. Because opportunity cost for textile is lower in Bangladesh. Opportunity cost for textile is lower in Bangladesh. You can find a similar question here, question number 70 here. This is for this question number 70 is in AS. नहीं, कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट दोनों जगह सेम थोड़ी है. कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट तो अलग है ना. ट्रेड अराइजेज ड्यू टू कंपैरेटिव कॉस्ट. ट्रेड डज नॉट अराइज डिपेंड अपॉन द एब्सोल्यूट नंबर, डिपेंड अपॉन द रिलेटिव नंबर. तो रिलेटिव नंबर तो डिफरेंट है यहाँ पे. पैडी का अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट कहाँ पे कम है? एब्सोल्यूट है, एब्सोल्यूट एडवांटेज, एब्सोल्यूट स्पेशलाइजेशन की बात हो रही है. Absolute advantage lies with India, but the comparative advantage lies only for one product in India, and for the other product it is in Bangladesh. See this question, second question, question number 70. Yes, read this question again. Explain the condition under which complete specialization will be possible for two nations. We'll explain this separate. Just suppose productivity per unit of labor for two nations, India and UK, is given as productivity for productivity per unit of labor again given. Productivity per unit of labor, that is one labor can produce how much quantity. जैसे वो क्वेश्चन था वैसे ये भी है. और इंडिया के लिए wheat और cloth. So this information is for India first and this is for UK. wheat per man hour. That is, in 1 hour how many quantity of wheat, in 1 hour how many quantity of cloth. So for India it is written 6 and 4, for UK it is 3 and 2. So what will be the answer now? India के लिए अगर ड्रॉ करेंगे तो we write here wheat and cloth. So wheat and cloth means wheat 6 and cloth 4. So 4 और 6 connect हो जाएगा. Slope will be, and here ये भी 3/2 आ जाएगा. 6/4 is also 3/2. This also 3/2. That means what? Both country has same opportunity cost also now. Opportunity cost भी same हो गया. So trade is not beneficial. They can trade, but trade is not beneficial. Benefit arises only when opportunity costs are different. Otherwise there will be no benefit from trade. So in this case there will be no exchange of the goods. Trade will not happen in this case. So one of example, इतने सारे past के paper में you find one short question based upon the numerical part. Rest is not for the numerical. तो जो concept आप कर रहे हैं उससे related past के जो भी question है उसको आपको then and there करके over करना. It is not कि once you complete the international then I will open the question. Question answer will be part of everyday class. Every day when you answer any particular topic, when we are reading any particular topic, all question related to that topic we will be discussing in the class itself. ठीक है, तो ये दो क्वेश्चन न्यूमेरिकल फॉर्मेट में अभी तक पास्ट के पेपर में. Now come to this second part of it. Now we will explain this. When we explain this concept of this mark again for the home country.
Sir, in absolute advantage we compare the marginal product of labor.
मार्जिन प्रोडक्ट ऑफ लेबर कह लो या आउटपुट कह लो, दोनों को ही कंपेयर करते हैं. बेसिकली वी कंपेयर द एब्सोल्यूट नंबर, ओनली वन प्रोडक्ट, ओनली वन. आई एम कंपेयरिंग ओनली क्लॉथ or only textile. But when it is opportunity, it is relative. That is cost of one in terms of other. So you take both in that condition. Absolute में second refer ही नहीं हो रहा. Absolute में you are comparing cloth production in India, cloth production in Bangladesh. That's it. See again see this example. In the home country we have only one factor of production, which is labor. The production possibility curve determine what are the possibilities of production. Production possibility curve simply shows what are the possibilities of production. What will be the actual production? PPF is production possibility frontier. These are the possibilities of production. What will be the actual production? Actual production will actually depend upon in which sector labor will move. Labor is the only factor. They can produce cheese by labor, they can produce wine by labor. So question is, labor will work in which industry? Now that will depend upon how much is the wage given to that labor in cheese, how much is the wage given to that labor in wine. So first I calculate how much is the wage given to worker in cheese. Wage will be equal to, I said it is old theories. All old theories assume market as perfect competition. Under perfect competition, always factors are paid according to their marginal product. That is value of their marginal product. So wage will be equal to what? Value of marginal product. And what is the meaning of that term value of marginal product? Marginal product multiplied by the price of the output. Marginal product को price से multiply कर देंगे. So if you are referring for the cheese, if one sector we are considering here is cheese, then it is price of cheese multiplied by the marginal product of labor in cheese. So what is marginal product of labor? If I say that ALC is a 4 hour, If ALC is 4 hours, that means to produce 1 unit, it take 4 hours. So in 1 hour, 1 by 4. And whatever you produce in 1 hour is called marginal product. Marginal product is addition to total product due to 1 additional unit of labor. So marginal product of labor is what? Not ALC, it is 1 upon ALC. So you can write price of cloth into 1 upon ALC. So it is simply price of cloth upon ALC. This PC upon ALC is what? Wage in cheese. Compare it with wage in wine. So alternate uses of labor is to produce wine. In the wine market also there is perfect competition. So wage will be equal to VMP here also. Now that will be price of wine into marginal product of labor in wine. That is price of wine into 1 upon ALW. So that can be written as PW upon ALW. Okay, so one number is, this is a wage in cheese and this is wage in wine. Clear? So now write some possibilities here as a note. First possibility, I'm not saying exact position क्या होगा, these are the possibilities. If number 1, PC upon ALC is greater than PW upon ALW, then what will happen? What is PC by ALC? Wage in cheese. And PW by LW is wage in wine. So if PC by ALC is greater, it means worker is getting more wage in cheese. So all worker will go to produce cheese. Economy will produce only cheese. In this condition, economy will produce only cheese. Can this statement be alternatively written as PC upon PW greater than ALC upon ALW? Can you write it in this form? Same thing can be written in this way. Conclusion will remain same. Now what is interpretation of this equation? What is PC by PW? PC by PW will be called as the relative price of cheese. And what is ALC by LW? ALC by LW is opportunity cost of cheese. So when country will produce only cheese? If relative price of cheese is greater than opportunity cost of producing cheese. If relative price is greater than opportunity cost of producing cheese, then country will produce only cheese. Country will produce only cheese when relative price of cheese is greater than opportunity cost of producing cheese. And what is the second possibility? B. If PC upon ALC is less than PW upon ALW, in that case country will produce only wine. Now this can be written as PC by PW less than ALC by ALW. See, country can produce only cheese and only wine when they are trading with each other. If you are trading with the other country, you can do that. You can produce only cheese, whatever surplus cheese you have produced, you can export and in exchange get the wine. But when you are not trading, then you must produce both goods on your own. And when country can produce both goods, when labor will go to both sectors, and when labor will go to both sectors, when they get same wage in both sectors, so they must be equal then. So without trade what will happen? PC by PW must be equal to what? ALC by ALW. So third possibility is that PC by PW must be equal to ALC by ALW. This will happen without trade. Without trade. This will happen without trade. If there will be no trade, then PC by PW must be equal to what? ALC by ALW. If there is no trade condition is also referred as autarky. Autarky condition means no trade. So what is autarky price? Autarky price is always equal to what? ALC by ALW, that is opportunity cost. So if we are referring to two countries, see यहाँ पे हमने सिर्फ home country भी लिखा है. If I am referring to two countries and they are not trading, then what will be the price without trade? If they are not trading with each other, no trade, then without trade they must produce both goods. And when they produce both goods, only then in that case PC by PW is equal to ALC by LW. But home country का PC by PW ALC by LW के बराबर होगा, और foreign country का ALC स्टार by ALW स्टार के बराबर होगा. एंड दे आर नॉट इक्वल. मतलब ट्रेड से पहले प्राइसेस इक्वल नहीं है, ट्रेड की वजह से प्राइस इक्वल होंगे. वी ट्रेड बिकॉज प्राइसेस आर डिफरेंट. अगर ट्रेड से पहले ही प्राइस इक्वल है, नो पर्पस ऑफ ट्रेड. ट्रेड अराइजेज बिकॉज प्राइसेस आर डिफरेंट. ट्रेड अराइजेज बिकॉज प्राइसेस आर डिफरेंट. That means if I can simply write what is the price before trade. So before trade, if I say that PC upon PW in home country equal to ALC upon ALW, and what is PC upon PW in foreign country, that is ALC star by ALW star. ठीक है. Now these two numbers are not same. Now it could be this number can be greater, second value can be greater. So suppose if I take a specific case here and I said this is the case without trade, it means what? It means before trade PC by PW is less in home country and more in the foreign country. Home country में कम है प्राइस और foreign country में प्राइस ज़्यादा है. In home country prices are less, in foreign country prices are higher. So what will be the pattern of trade then? Home country में relative price चीज़ का कम है, foreign country में relative price चीज़ का ज़्यादा है. So what is the pattern of trade? The producer of cheese in home country will prefer to sell their cheese in the foreign country because they will get more price. So home country will export cheese. Home country will export cheese. Now as home country will export cheese, supply of cheese in foreign country will increase and supply of cheese in home country will decrease. As supply of cheese in home country decreases, price in home country will start rising. As supply of cheese rises in the foreign country, प्राइस ऑफ चीज़ इन फॉरेन कंट्री विल स्टार्ट डिक्लाइनिंग. और ये चेन कब तक होते रहेंगे? जब तक ये दोनों इक्वल नहीं हो. तो ट्रेड ब्रिंग्स इक्वालिटी ऑफ प्राइस. ट्रेड से प्राइस कन्वर्ज हो जाएगा. ट्रेड से पहले प्राइसेस डिफरेंट है, आफ्टर ट्रेड प्राइसेस विल कन्वर्ज. सो ट्रेड अराइजेज ड्यू टू डिफरेंस इन प्राइस. एंड वाई प्राइसेस आर डिफरेंट? Why prices are different? Because they have different opportunity cost. Price is equal to opportunity cost. So due to difference in the opportunity cost, there is possibility of trade. Trade is arising due to difference of opportunity cost. ठीक है, ये elaborate करना है, ये पूरे चैप्टर के अंदर आपको भी डिस्कस करना है. First we explain that explain this part, then we will come to this, because what will be the actual value, यहाँ तो हमने possibility लिखी हुई है. If this will happen or this will happen or this will happen, out of these three conditions one thing will happen. So these are the different possibilities we have written. If this will happen, then what will happen? If second is the case, then what will happen? If third is the case, then what will happen? So first write this part, this page. Next paragraph. PPF only determines PPF only determines What are the possibilities of production? PPF only determines what are the possibilities of production. What are the possibilities of production? What are the possibilities of production? So the actual production point, the actual production point is determined by movement of labor. Actual production point is determined by movement of labor. Movement of labor, full stop. Since Ricardian model is based on assumption of perfect competition. Since Ricardian model is based on the assumption of perfect competition, and under perfect competition, workers are paid wages equal to, under perfect competition, workers are paid wages equal to value of marginal product. Workers are paid wages equal to value of marginal product. Workers are paid wages equal to value of marginal product. Therefore, wage in cheese sector will be PC by ALC. Now why you are writing that, ये नोटिंग है, साइड में और नोट कर लीजिए. वेज इक्वल टू VMP लिखा है. VMP इज प्राइस इनटू मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट. मार्जिनल प्रोडक्ट इज 1 by LC. देयरफॉर यू हैव रिटन वेज इक्वल टू PC by LC. Inverse of this. ALC is actually unit labor requirement. That means to produce 1 unit of output you require how many unit of labor. And what is the definition of marginal product of labor? Marginal product means what? How much is addition to the total product due to 1 additional unit of labor. So if it takes 4 hours to produce 1 unit, then in 1 hour I can produce only 1 by 4. So that 1 by 4 means 1 by ALC. Similarly, wage in wine sector will be wage in wine sector will be PW by ALW. Below that, now we write the different possibilities. Next paragraph में, if first point A, if PC by ALC is greater than PW by LW, if PC by ALC is greater than PW by LW, or PC by PW greater than ALC by LW, PC by PW greater than ALC by LW, then home country will produce only cheese. Home country will produce only cheese. Second, B, if PC by ALC is less than PW by LW, PC by ALC less than PW by LW, or PC by PW less than ALC by LW, then country will produce only wine. Country will produce only wine. Third, economy can produce both goods only if. Third point, economy can produce both goods only if. Economy can produce both goods only if PC by PW is equal to ALC by LW. PC by PW equal to ALC by LW. PC by PW equal to ALC by LW. It means without trade or turkey price, without trade or turkey price, AUTARKY, or turkey price will be equal to opportunity cost, will be equal to opportunity cost. ट्रेड से पहले जो प्राइस होगा वो अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट के बराबर है, बट सिंस अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट इटसेल्फ इज डिफरेंट, सो प्राइसेस आर आल्सो डिफरेंट बिफोर ट्रेड. नेक्स्ट पैराग्राफ में, सिंस or turkey prices are determined by opportunity cost, since or turkey prices are determined by opportunity cost, or turkey prices are determined by opportunity cost, and opportunity costs are different, since or turkey prices are determined by opportunity cost and opportunity costs are different, so before trade prices are different. So before trade prices are different. Before trade prices are different. Prices are different. For example, if relative price of cheese is higher in foreign country, if relative price of cheese, that is PC by PW, if relative price of cheese is higher in foreign country, before trade, then home country will export cheese, because it will be profitable for cheese producer, to sell in foreign market. However, with trade price will converge. At a common value. Price will converge at a common value determined by intersection of world relative supply, and world relative demand. Full stop. Equilibrium relative price will determine pattern of trade. Equilibrium relative price will determine pattern of trade. Will determine pattern of trade. Equilibrium relative price will determine the pattern of trade. Who will export which product will be determined by the equilibrium relative price. We have stated the possibilities. If this is the case, this will happen. If this is the case, this will happen. But what will be the actual case? That depends what is the actual price. So if we take different possibilities, like we have taken one price as higher, other price as lower. ये कौन से दो प्राइस हमने कंसिडर किए? ट्रेड से पहले वाले प्राइस है ये. वन डिटरमाइंड बाई द नंबर ALC अपॉन ALW, other determined by the number ALC star by ALW star, and these numbers are different. So before trade, in home country price will be this, in foreign country price will be this. ये information आप यहाँ से ले रहे. PC by PW in home country will be this, PC by PW in foreign country will be this number, but these two numbers are different. So before trade, home country price is lower, foreign country price is higher. Trade will lead to convergence of that price. After trade, price will converge somewhere in between, and where will be that case? That depend upon world relative supply and world relative demand. Their equality will determine it. So we have to fill this by relative supply and relative demand, but it is relative supply, relative demand. So what you will write on the axis? Relative quantity, and it is world relative quantity. World means quantity of cheese in home plus quantity of cheese in foreign divided by quantity of wine in home plus quantity of wine in foreign. We have to determine what? World relative demand for cheese and world relative supply of cheese, and their equality will determine the relative price. Their equality will be determining the relative price. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे जो once you determine the relative price, then only we can say which product will be produced in which country, which product will be produced by the other country, because everything depends upon the price. And if the price comes out to be, naturally if the price comes out to be low, in between, it will come out to be in between. So in between अगर यहाँ price आ रहा है तो इसका मतलब क्या होगा? This price is higher than ALC by LW. So if this price is higher than ALC by LW, then which condition? Price ratio higher than ALC by LW, that country will produce what? Cheese. But naturally, if that number is greater than ALC by LW, then naturally this number is less than this number. So the other country will produce wine. Ricardian model में अभी तक के start में when we talk about only two product, it is very easy. Two product के we will fill that space, ये भी कल करेंगे. Two product के condition में क्या होता है? When we discuss it is a 2 by 2 by 1 model. I am taking two different product, and if opportunity cost of cheese is lower in home country, naturally the opportunity cost of wine will be lower in the foreign country. And opportunity cost of cheese explained in terms of sacrifice of wine, opportunity cost of wine expressed in terms of sacrifice of cheese, but it can be generalized for n number of product, many product. So if there are many product, then suppose home country produces apple, banana, cherry and so on, there are different product produced. So if there are different product produced, in that condition, what is the opportunity cost of apple? Here opportunity cost of cheese was sacrifice of wine, but now opportunity cost of apple is sacrifice of all other goods. So that makes calculation difficult. Generally the Ricardian model is used for two commodity case, but it can be interpreted for many commodity case also. तो अगर वो specifically पूछा जाएगा for many product how to determine the opportunity cost, then question is different. So we can explain or add that part later. first we will complete tomorrow this part, relative supply, relative demand. Then what is the improvement done by the Haberler? What are the assumptions on which this Ricardian model is based? How this is different from the absolute cost advantage? So one more lecture for this Ricardian model, and then we move from Ricardian model to the HO model. Remember, what we are studying here is this frame. We are here. ठीक है, ये discussion हो रहा है अभी. So we will complete this and then start with the HO model. So hopefully half of the class में कल ये complete हो जाएगा. Then we start with the Ricardian model. So these are different chapters in Paul Krugman. I think chapter number 3 is this, then chapter number 4, and then chapter number 5. In that order it is there in the Krugman. You can read it from the Krugman also and from the Salvatore also. ठीक है, तो अभी इस वीक के लिए यार रखिए जो क्लासेज है वो इसी टाइम पे है, बट इंटरनेशनल विल कंटिन्यू एट दिस टाइम, सेम टाइम, बट फ्रॉम मंडे ये तो चलता ही रहेगा ये क्लास अपनी जगह, बट फ्रॉम मंडे यू विल हैव मॉर्निंग टाइम ऑल्सो 11:30 to 1:30, and then we have a gap of 1 hour. And so on Monday and Tuesday we'll be start doing the Indian economy part. So we'll be starting with the Indian economy on Monday, and ये क्लास तो सबके लिए हो जाएगा, ऑप्शनल के लिए भी और इकोनॉमिक सर्विस के लिए, बट जिनका ओनली इकोनॉमिक सर्विस है, so for them it will be Wednesday, Thursday and Friday for econometrics. ठीक है, so your this timing will continue. 2:45 का जो टाइम है 2 5, this will continue with the international economics. It will be, if you cover all international theories and then the BOP in one go, it will be taking almost 20 number of lectures, almost a month is there. ठीक है, पैरेलल में आपका ये कंटेंट भी होता रहेगा, सो दैट जिनका ऑप्शन है विल ट्राई टू कंप्लीट इट बाय ईयर एंड एंड इकोनॉमिक सर्विस बाय फरवरी और मार्च 15. ठीक है, सो फ्रॉम नेक्स्ट वीक इट इज़, रिमेंबर दिस पार्ट इज़ फ्रॉम इफेक्टिव फ्रॉम 15th इज सैटरडे, 17th ऑफ अगस्त. ठीक है, इस वीक के लिए आपकी ये वाली क्लास क्लियर. एनी क्वेश्चन? ये कंटेंट जितने भी होंगे PDF वगैरह ये डाउनलोड करके आप एक जगह रख लोगे. टॉपिक वाइज जितने भी क्वेश्चन हैं, जो PPT मैंने शो कर रखा था वो भी अवेलेबल है. अदरवाइज ये टॉपिक वाइज फिल्टर्ड क्वेश्चन है सब. एक इंटरनेशनल कर रहे हैं तो इंटरनेशनल वाले क्वेश्चन, ऑप्शनल का भी और इकोनॉमिक सर्विस का भी. RBI के क्वेश्चन अवेलेबल नहीं होते, इसलिए वो क्वेश्चन अवेलेबल नहीं. ठीक है, विल कंटिन्यू विद टुमारो विद द रिकार्डियन मॉडल.